Everybody, listen carefully.
You're listening to the SEC Insider Hit on the Boat Bounce Show.
Fueled by Fleetway Market.
Fuel up your car and cooler at Fleetway this football season.
Let's go.
Well, good morning to you. National Signing Day brought to you by Kinetic Staffing, executive search, long-term staffing firm, IT, technology, accounting, CPA, CFO, law, legal, powered by kineticstaffing.com. Long-term staffing, executive recruiting, kineticstaffing.com. Adding talent to your business or firm. Good morning. Welcome in. We are the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. And are we on the cameras?
We are. Streaming on YouTube.
Out of Bounds Sports. Out of Bounds Sports on YouTube.
I like that politician wave.
Thank you, man.
The two hands.
I
Hello.
am going to run for office.
Oh, you should.
Probably statewide.
Okay.
Yep.
Not like lobbyist, something, like.
I've thought about that too. Maybe that could be an option, but yeah, I could. I could run for office.
You'd be a killer alderman,
Well, that's local, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. Would you vote for me?
I'd vote for you.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, alderman, you get some local stuff done. Maybe, add something to the community around
Well,
here.
yeah, you want to be a positive. You want to have a positive impact in the community.
No doubt.
Regardless of whether you're elected, like you're referencing, or you just live in neighborhoods like you and I do.
True.
You want to keep them clean. You want to help your neighbor. You want to be upward mobile, right? I mean, you want to be a part of church and school and festivals and all that kind of stuff that make this place amazing to live. But yeah, so I'm strong. Do you have an office that you think I should? So if I went statewide, governor, lieutenant governor.
About
I really want to shoot for the top, but go ahead.
Like a state senator?
May could do that. State rep.
A state rep, yeah. Now that
You got the House and the Senate.
Exactly. You get to go up to D.C. every now and then, shake a couple hands, have some free dinners.
But yeah, most of the time you'll be at the Capitol. But you're right. There could be sometimes there's some overlap.
Yeah. I mean, why not? But me, I would like that, but there's some giant problems that I would have no idea what to do.
Right.
And sometimes I'm a bad ad-libber when it comes to that sort of thing. So
all I do is ad-lib.
So, I might just stay at the local level. I could be a killer mayor.
Okay. So didn't Gluckstadt get their first mayor? Isn't that right? Okay. And you live in Gluckstadt, technically.
Yeah. Actually, his son went to school with me. So Mr. Morrison is the mayor of Gluckstadt.
Okay. All right. I don't know him, or maybe I do, and I'm not sure. But so I couldn't run for mayor of Madison. I'm in the county.
Right.
But I can run for the other things that you mentioned.
Okay.
Supervisor, state rep, state senator.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you can enforce another instead of Madison is all red brick. Maybe we could go something crazy, let's go Ivory Post or something crazy.
Yeah. See, I don't think I'll ever be in the Madison city limits.
Ah, okay.
And I don't think Pocahontas will ever, what is it called? Incorporate. And so I guess my only shot would be to be the mayor of Pocahontas, which is probably 300 people, which still wouldn't be bad.
But think about it. You could be the 7-on-7 Tommy Tuberville.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
You have history as, a killer coach with Madden plays, and then become, the 7-on-7 Tommy Tuberville.
Yes.
Why not?
A statewide politician just texted me and said you would make a great politician. So maybe I've got a shot here. Look, we've done millions of live streams around the state of Mississippi. So we've got some name recognition.
Of course.
North Mississippi, Central Mississippi, South Mississippi, right? We've done millions of podcasts around the state. So maybe we'd at least have, I don't know, 10% shot?
Yeah, Tom in Florida makes a good point, though. Aldermans usually like casseroles.
Oh, because you got to take casseroles to neighbors. And
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
to
Or
get
you,
votes.
you receive casseroles.
Okay, well, then we'll have to figure out the one that I like the best.
Okay.
And we're just going to have to run with that.
See, and we can figure that out. I feel like you're going to try to, do a cop out with like dressing, something like that.
You would. Do you think that's me cheating?
Yeah, I think that's cheating.
Okay.
I think when I think casserole, I'm talking, either green beans.
I can
sweet
do
potato.
green beans with bacon wrap. Oh, that's not a casserole. That's just green beans,
That's just
bacon wrapped
bacon
in
wrapped
a
green beans.
casserole.
Yeah,
glass.
exactly. Another cop out right there.
I didn't think about that. I thought I had it right there. Okay, what about breakfast casserole? My neighbors.
Okay, that works.
And people who are, as I'm hitting all the churches and neighbors and schools, don't you think a breakfast casserole will work with sausage and bacon?
I'll allow it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll allow it. I was thinking more along the lines of like a thick chicken casserole or like a.
You just want something very 1971 for me to sell as I'm going door to door trying to get votes.
Well, there's got to be one that you like.
Asparagus casserole. But that's on the text line. I wasn't answering your question.
Yeah, I know. I looked at that.
Let's back up for a second. It's National Signing Day. Jason, go ahead and kind of start a list for Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Let's update everybody in 5 minutes or so. We forget that not everybody's just staring at Twitter. Less than 25% are on Twitter, and people are busy. They're going into work and CPAs and salespeople and doctors and attorneys and all kinds of things. So I love on the Ag Up Equipment text line that Mr. DX said full-time HOA president. Yeah.
That's
not what I was thinking. And Holy Mary Olzab is all I'm going to say there. Good morning. Welcome in. Our SEC Insider Hit is brought to you by all the amazing furniture at Miskelly Furniture in Pearl. And then, of course, their amazing selection and inventory of mattresses, whether it's the purple mattress that I sleep on and I slept on last night. I actually slept well. I didn't sleep good the 2 nights prior. I think it was traveling on Sunday just really messed me up that much. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
and being in a hotel. I mean, we're always in hotels, but I don't know why it like screwed up my clock or something. So, man, last night I was out 9:00 and did not wake up until the alarm was going off. And usually I'm already up because when you get older, you just sit there and stare at the ceiling. And I couldn't even find my phone, and it was under some clothes. And it was just mass chaos.
Is that really what happens? You get older and you just start staring at the ceiling when you wake up?
You get up at 3:27 and you're like, why don't I just get up and get in the shower, start the process.
Mental battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. It's just part of it. I didn't finish my live endorsement. Miskelly Furniture, bar stools, sectionals, recliner sofas, and the absolute best inventory of mattresses at any Miskelly Sleep Store and Miskelly Furniture. Good morning. Welcome in. It's a big day for young men all over the state of Mississippi and all over the country. Power 5, G5, you name it, and we're excited. Ole Miss fans are going nuts. Mississippi State fans are getting very excited, as they should. The two programs are in a little bit different spot, but we're going to see how this all plays out. You've got a coach going into year 5, lots of continuity, and he's won 28 games in 3 years. That's awesome at Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Missouri, South Carolina type programs. So 28 games in 3 years, and Lane's on a roll. They're playing Penn State in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and transfer class, high school class, lots of momentum. Pete Golding was a phenomenal hire. Lane's got that dude inside kind of the building. Must be an unbelievable chief of staff as far as everything that he's asked to do for Lane. And Lane knows what he does well, and he knows what he needs other people to do, which is really, really, really smart. Lots of coaches and businessmen can't figure that out. Took me a little while to delegate too, but man, I got good at it the last 15 years. The first run of my, if you even want to call that a career. I mean, I was stumbling all over the place, but I didn't understand that you could ask, other people could do other things. And it's a beautiful thing. So it doesn't bother me whatsoever. But, and then you got Jeff Lebby trying to put together his first class on the fly. And they made some, after Ole Miss made waves over the weekend, and Mississippi State made some, but they had a good day yesterday. So, Jason, is there a surprise already?
No, it's just Michael Van Buren is officially signed.
Okay. So, I saw you waving at me. So, when quarterbacks come in for Kiffin and Levy, we want to talk about QB1.
Of course. Yeah, no doubt. And plus, that's, what everybody cares about. Number one, that, and you get an edge rusher and everybody loses their brains.
Yeah.
So, we got Van Buren, and then for Mississippi State, it's a lot of transfers that are signing either their, like their SEC financial aid or whatever, but basically saying, they're in.
Yeah.
And with Ole Miss so far,
Go ahead.
Deion Smith has signed.
Yes, from here to LSU, JUCO to Ole Miss.
Exactly.
Tom Luganbill had him as an EP5 eval. That's elite.
Huge. I mean, lots of receivers in Oxford now. 3-star safety Andy Jaff from Clearwater, Florida. He'd been committed for a while. He signed. And there's some of these rankings I'm giving you are from 247. So he's got an 85. 3-star linebacker Cameron Clark has an 88. He signed with Ole Miss. And 3-star tackle John Wayne Oliver from Tennessee. He's got an 87. He just signed.
Okay.
So
all right. So they're coming in.
They are.
All right. Can you believe we're still doing a fax? We don't have a fax machine up here. I feel like we run a pretty good business.
Yeah.
And we don't have a fax machine. Never have. So I've been here, for a while, and I don't even know how to work a fax machine. So, I've worked them in the past, but I'm sure now I don't know what. I could not walk. I could probably figure it out, but, Jason knows what I'd do. Jason, will you handle this? Again, delegating. All right. Who do we have? Steve? All right. Oh, you're going to call him. All right. Well, if he doesn't answer, he'll go at 8 too. Okay. All right. Steve Robertson, I think, is in Ohio. But he is head of 247 Sports Gene's page. And he may join us here in the next couple of minutes. If not, we can work him in. We're hoping to get David Johnson, Rebels 247. I do know that we have Jeff Lebby at 9:30. Jeff Lebby, the head football coach at Mississippi State, will join us at 9:30. All of our guests join us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Your morning drive is driven by the amazing breakfast sandwiches at Fleetway Market and the Market Cafe in Gluckstadt. Now, there's 22 others around the state, but amazing breakfast sandwiches. Steve Robertson joins us, 247 Sports Gene's page. Steve, good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm tired. How are you?
Did you even sleep last night?
Yeah, I got about 2 hours.
Are you still in Ohio?
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay. All right. Well, let's jump. I saw you posting early. You and I were texting, a couple hours ago. Good grief. You're a man on a mission. It's National Signing Day. So everybody is texting in. I know it won't be official until January 3rd or 4th or whatever, but Mississippi State fans want to know, once we dropped your name, what is the latest on Stonka Burnside and Daniel Hill?
Well, I still feel good about both of those guys, and it's, you think you may get some intel today, but I think it's going to be pretty much, cards close to the vest to kind of honor those guys' plans to announce those All-Star games. But, the chatter that we've had around Starkville the last few days is that Burnside is expected to recommit to Mississippi State. Now, Daniel Hill's situation has been pretty tenuous throughout. State really wasn't much of a factor prior to the coaching change, but State is trending well. And, of course, on the heels of that official visit to Mississippi State, he went and spent the week with, J.J. Harrell and Pat Clark and T.J. Lockhart and San Francisco McGee down in Hattiesburg in the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star Game practice. The State's had some juice here as of late. But, until they announce, you don't know for sure. But we do expect both of those guys to sign today and then have their announcements held until they have their ceremony at their respective All-Star games.
What kind of bump could those guys give the class, roughly? Steve?
Well, tremendously. I mean, that's the thing too. State's fighting to get in the top 30 today, and if you add those guys, you got a chance to push towards the top 25, and that's going to require a little bit of luck too. But the reality of it is when you look at Jeff Levy's first class, I mean, with all the circumstances that have surrounded this thing, if this group finishes in the top 30, they have done exceptionally well. To be quite honest with you. Now, have they met all their needs? No, I don't think so. You still got to work the portal hard. You got to find some impact guys. And I think State's found some depth pieces so far in the portal, but you're going to need a couple difference makers at a couple positions. And there will be another portal dump, as we've talked about, once the bowl games are over, and there's always the spring. But, you want your team on your practice field this spring. But, so today is really the first day in an elongated process for Coach Jeff Levy and his staff.
Steve Robertson, 247 Sports, genespage.com. He's on the show with 2 hours sleep. And so this is what he does for his subscribers. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Steve, Mississippi State and Ole Miss fans love a flip. Will there be a big flip today?
I don't know if you'd call it a big flip, but I think there's a possibility that State could flip a receiver that's committed to another program. And, we're going to kind of wait and see how that plays out, because I understand he's going to have a signing day ceremony at his school. And so we'll respect that. But, yeah, there is a possibility that State adds a couple of commitments today. Elijah Cannon's a cornerback out of Coconut Creek, Florida, that is recently visited Mississippi State. He was pretty jacked up about the possibility of playing in the Southeastern Conference. And he's a bit of a developmental guy, but he's a guy that Corey Bell had committed with him at Florida Atlantic. So I think there's a good chance you see him flip to Mississippi State, but there's another name out there too that we're monitoring right now too that could potentially flip to Mississippi State at some point this morning.
Do you expect another high school, the texts are coming in, do you expect another high school defensive lineman?
I don't know. No, I don't. Unless there is a surprise. I think State, by taking Kyle McClendon, is probably done on the high school defensive line. And to be honest with you, I don't know that a high school player makes them better this year. I think State's needs are probably best met on the defensive front. In the portal the rest of the way. I mean, you got Kedrick Bingley-Jones, a guy that was a former four-star at a high school, has had a pretty pedestrian career there at North Carolina, probably needs a reset. He's a guy that David Turner knows really well. And then Suleiman Paca that's come in from Purdue, another depth piece. But, State needs to try to find a difference maker or two on that defensive front. There's a few names out there. We're beginning to hear a little bit. Guys are going to make decisions later in the process. But I really don't know that a high school defensive lineman helps you right now. I think you've got to go out and get some mature guys that can go out there and make you a better football team this year.
And basically, so what you're telling the MSU fans that are texting in is the second wave of players entering the transfer portal is extremely important for Jeff Levy and the Bulldog Initiative, right?
Oh, it absolutely is. And that's the thing, too, you got to think, too. I mean, State's got money to spend, and so there will be some guys that go in the portal. And that's the real challenge in this environment that we're in right now with NIL and the transfer portal is how heavy do you go early, and then can you afford to wait late? It's a real balancing act in that respect, because you may go out there and kind of, shoot your wad before Christmas, and all of a sudden a guy comes up you really need, and maybe you're not even in the sweepstakes because you just don't have the resources to commit to it. And so it's a real balancing act. You got to be good stewards with your money, and it's weird that we're even having this conversation because 2 years ago it had been an NCAA violation, but now here we are with all these collectives and things of that nature. And so college football is evolving, and it's a real challenging environment. I would submit to you right now that the coaches in the NCAA right now are recruiting in probably the most toxic environment they ever have in the history of the game.
And that's saying something, because recruiting's always been toxic in the SEC, right?
Well, the difference is it was all dark money, and if somebody did something stupid, they got in trouble. Nowadays, there is an organized legal way to facilitate the payment of players to come to your school. Now, the NCAA says you're not supposed to use NIL in recruiting purposes, and that's like you're not supposed to jaywalk. I mean, until they really enforce that, nobody's going to respect that directive, and so, but that's where we are. And, I don't think it's sustainable. At some point, the money runs out, and that's for everybody, right? I mean, that's not just, our schools in the state of Mississippi, but at some point, if you continue to ask the fans to keep, funding the payroll for all this, at some point you start getting to the point of diminishing returns. And I just think when people don't get anything out of it, it's not a tax deduction or anything like that. I mean, you're asking an awful lot for people to be able to fund this year after year after year after year. But that's where we are right now. And I think if you're Mississippi State, you just got to tread water until there's maybe a better system in place.
Steve Robertson on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Is there a JUCO player that they're going to sign that can start day one?
I really like Marcus Ross, and I made the comment on the board yesterday. He's a linebacker out of East Mississippi Community College. He led them in tackles this year. He's not going to make any headlines, right? But I think he's a guy, once you get into the season, it's going to make you a better football team. Is he Bookie Watson? No, he's not. But I do think he's a guy that can be ultra productive. And State really made a late run at Keaton Thomas. He was the guy that State didn't do much with the previous staff. But Matt Barnes shows up, first phone call he makes. And so the kid committed to Baylor back the weekend of December 8th. And then on Monday was unsure if he would even visit Mississippi State. He comes in, but ultimately decides to stick with Baylor. If you had been able to get him, I think you'd feel even better. He's a first-team All-American, a guy that led the nation in tackles per game. But he's going to stick with Dave Aranda and Baylor. And so I think that probably puts you in a situation where you need to go get a guy at the portal from some level that can come in and be a plug-and-play guy. Because State's got some young backers that just don't have a lot of seasoning. So you're going to need some older guys, I think, that serve as a stopgap while those guys mature.
All right. Anything else that we need to know?
Well, I mean, it's going to be, it's going to be a good day, but it's not the last day. And I think it's important to understand, these coaches will take a holiday break and get right back to work on, trying to kind of supplement where they have some issues on their roster and kind of fill things out. But, while today kind of removes the responsibility of recruiting high school and junior college players, there's still a ton of recruiting left to go between now and the beginning of the spring semester.
Okay, it's early, but how would you describe Jeff Levy as a recruiter?
I like what he's done so far. I think the Michael Van Buren thing is tremendous. I mean, that's a quarterback that really wasn't involved with Mississippi State at all. And he goes out and gets, Blake Shapen from Baylor, I think can serve as a veteran guy. And I think you continue to shop a little bit there, just depending on what the market looks like. But if you get in a situation where Blake Shapen's your starter, I mean, hey, that's not the worst thing, right? But I think Michael Van Buren's the guy that can be the face of this program moving forward. And that's a really good get. I mean, it's a really good player that I think fits this scheme exceptionally well. And it's kind of like the Mike Leach thing, right? You got to go find guys that fit your system, and that's exactly what Jeff Levy's done.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Jumping on so early. Yeah. GenesPage.com, 247 Sports. Everybody's on the boards today, depending on what platform you like the best. We want to say good morning. Welcome in to the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone, driven by your next Ford F-150. Mack Hike Ford, I-55 North in Jackson. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. We've got a great giveaway. 4 bourbon glasses. Really, really nice bourbon glasses. Give us your top 5 college football programs or NFL franchises since 2010. Via the text line, 601-885-3776. And show us that you are subscribed to our podcast. I'll give that all again on the other side.